Alright, now about to check out the show called The Longest Night. 6 episodes, first about 44 minutes apiece. So let's get it pop with the first episode. So we got this dude by the name of Simon. We see him at this construction site just burying bodies. One of them looked like they was trying to break up the plastic, but bottom line is he kept pouring dirt on it. It was a done deal after that. Then he goes to this spot to get some Christmas wine because it's Christmas. He's talking to the cashier attendant, this chick by the name of Christina. Next thing we know, we see him at this house. He gets a phone call talking about, yeah, you know we're about to arrest you. There was supposed to be some type of plan involved to come with the arrest. I was like, what the heck? So while he's talking, we see Christina in the background, done deal daddy shit. I'm like, what? Then the cops come and arrest Simon. Then we see the pool hall, this team of mercenaries, they get calls and be like, oh, they got a job to do. What kind of job they got to do? I don't know. Then you see Hugo's chilling with his 3 kids. Then he gets a call to get called into work talking about the alligator got arrested. Simon's the alligator. Now, why do they call him that? Because of the way he brutalizes his victims. He's like one of the top 5 most serial killers out there. So apparently he had 9 bodies on his resume for like 3 years. And the thing we saw at the beginning of the show was like 11 bodies. And so they finally caught him after like 4 years. So Hugo is like some type of detective. He's got to go to work. His oldest daughter gets pissed off and dips out. So he's got to take the other 2 kids with him. He doesn't have time to drop them off at his ex-wife's house. So he's got to bring the kids with him. Apparently he does this all the time. I'm like, the fuck? So as Simon's being detained to jail, all of a sudden they get a call and they direct the different route. They got him going to this other jail called Burracoor, which is not a maximum security jail. It's actually so run down. They're about to close that jail down in like a month. I'm like, the fuck? Why would you send this guy there? So they get Simon there, and he's very casual about being arrested. You think to yourself, like, what's the plan here? He just decides to give himself up after 4 years. Get the fuck out of here. So then Hugo finally shows up, you know what I'm saying? And they got doctors and nurses there too. It's kind of like a halfway jail, halfway therapy facility or something like that. So Hugo ends up checking the jail cell to make sure everything's good so that Simon don't get the fuck out. Because they thinking to themselves, Simon should not be in this type of facility. He should be in Max. So then he's talking to him, make sure he gets comfortable. And then Simon says to him, it's going to be a long night for you, Hugo. So he's thinking to himself, how the fuck does he know my name? Then we get this one scene where they got the cops and they got this trainee cop, whatever like that. They're about to go to the rec room and get some of the prisoners back to their cells. And we're like, oh man, come on, it's Christmas, guys. But really, one of the prisoners named Cherokee was actually stalling for his homie because he was digging some type of tunnel all the way in the back near the bathroom was. So after he sees his boy coming back, he finished stalling and he ends up throwing a basketball in his face. And you're like, oh shit. So the main officer takes Cherokee back to his jail cell, starts beating the shit out of him. Until one of the COs on the low calls for the doctor, is like, hey, yo, he in here. So he took a beating for his man to keep that tunnel open. Now, Hugo, the doctor, and some other people, they go to this other part of the jail where some of the prisoners are basically just doing like arts and crafts and stuff. They get one of the girls they work released because she's about to get out soon. So she's like, oh, she's celebrating. One girl named Izzy just don't give a fuck. She's just sitting there playing with a goddamn Christmas ball. She's just pissed off at life. Later on, one of the inmates talked to the work release girl. She's like, hey, we got this one more job to do. He's like, look, I'm about to get out of here. You got to do this one more thing. You owe us. She's like, all right. What is this one more thing? So Hugo and the doctor go into the office by themselves. And all of a sudden, they just start kissing. I'm like, okay, that's what you're getting. They got themselves a little relationship and shit. So while all this is going down, the mercenaries are headed towards his daggone jail. Hugo tries to call his daughter Laura, but doesn't get a response. Next thing we know, she responds back, and all of a sudden, she's like pleading for her life. And there's a message saying, if you don't let Simon go, they're going to kill me. Oh, so that's what the plan Simon had. That's what he was waiting on. So Hugo goes to the jail to get Simon. He's about to beat the shit out of him, and Simon's like, look, man, you ain't got a whole lot of time. Next thing we know, some of the mercenaries get to this power plant, and they wipe out the power in like the whole city. I'm like, what? So it's not just the prison. The entire city has no power in it. No phone lines, nothing. And then everybody's all in the lobby, and bottom line is they hand him a transceiver through the window or the big titanium door or whatever like that. So the mercenaries are like, look, you could do this a simple way, hand over Simon, and we can go about our business. Or 2, we could come through there and take Simon and lay all these motherfuckers out. So Hugo, after contemplating everything, contemplating his daughter, trying to figure out the situation, he's thinking they might die anyway. So he's like, no, we're not giving you Simon. So his plan is to try to head to the rooftop. They end up giving Simon a police uniform. Now, why does he do that? Because he's going to have him mingling around with the other inmates. The ones that get the room free, somewhat. Because these inmates don't know about Simon. So these mercenaries are just like throwing tear gas bombs through the windows and stuff like that. They somehow end up getting in around the other side. But it's not the main bunker. They end up picking up these 3 guys that are locked up and holding because they weren't in cells. They were just hanging out outside the bench. And basically, he threatens them to give up Simon or they're just going to done deal these niggas. Huey says no, and the mercenary pops all 3 of these motherfuckers. Done deal, dead as shit. Then the other dudes are looking around like, what we do now, boss? Boss is like, all right, it's time to break in this bitch. Last part of the episode, we see Laura. But she wasn't tied up in a dark room like they showed in the video. She was actually tied up in a car. So Laura spazzed out like, yo, what's going on? What's going on around here? What happening? The lady keeps telling her, like, keep quiet, yo, shut the fuck up. Because it seems like the lady's trying to drive her somewhere, but she's like speeding. Somehow Laura gets out of her restraints and starts trying to strangle the lady. She ends up running to another car on the road and it double flips all over the place. I'm like, what the fuck? And that's how the first episode ends. Like I said, 6 episodes, 44 minutes apiece. This joint is crazy out the back. The Longest Night on Netflix. Check it out.